Hi, I'm Mary.
And I'm Katie, and this is The Housewife Did It.
True Crime Edition. If my voice sounds shaky, it's because I just choked on my meds. um, if you like our show, you can like, subscribe, share, comment, follow, all of those things. Review 5 stars. Hello. And you can also now enter into a mutually beneficial relationship with our podcast by going to Every Jewels, EVRY Jewels website and using the code Mary788, right? For money off of your order with Every Jewels.
Heck yeah.
On behalf of us.
Heck yeah.
All right, I've got a big long-time true crime. It is. Been a long time coming. I have a big real-time true crime because I'm going to read a lengthy quote because it's too good.
As you should, yeah.
And the thing is, I cut several things out, and it's still 2 pages long.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Brian Koberger pled guilty and was sentenced to 4 life sentences in prison for the murders of 4 University of Idaho students, Madison Mogen, Zaina Kernodle, Ethan Chapin, and Kaylee Goncalves. Crime Junkie has taken this case to the lengths the last few weeks. So they covered this case, and then almost immediately after that episode was released, we heard that he was pleading guilty. And so then they kind of recorded on that and explained that it's kind of a split opinion. Is he getting off easy? Do we want him to have the death penalty? Because that's what the guilty plea deal was. And then she also covered some other cases based in University of Idaho or that area this week. So if you're interested in this case, I highly recommend heading over there. A lot of good information. But Kaylee Goncalves' sister, Olivia, gave the most annihilating victim impact statement I have ever heard in my entire life. So I'm going to read some of it.
They all really did. And before you start, because we'll be here for an eternity.
Right.
But I truly I left listening to those with a newfound motivation to never say the names of murderers again. Obviously that's not really possible, especially when we do what we do. But it's how fun would it be to just literally never say his name again and be the murderer of Kaylee Goncalves. I was so inspired by all of them.
Yeah, she referred to him.
A very common thread through all of their statements.
Yeah. In her statement specifically, she kept referring to him as defendant. When she addressed him, she said defendant. And then when she was finished, their mom stood up and said that she would like to also add that while you may have gotten A's in your education career, you're going to be getting a lot of D's in prison. A lot of big D's in prison.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
It's giving Jesse, I'm gonna send you a skirt, but rightful.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Okay. So here is, in my opinion, the highlights of what Olivia said. Again, it's highly recommend going and watching them. Hers, I think, is 10.5 minutes if you find it online. And I do have a shorter case today, so that's why I put a lot of it in, but we would be here all day if I tried to read the whole thing. So I'm going to read what I think are the highlights. Still a lot, but she said, I'm not here today to speak in grief. I'm here to speak in truth, because the truth is, my sister Kaylee and her best friend Maddie were not yours to take. They were not yours to study, to stalk, or to silence. They were two pieces of a whole, the perfect yin and yang. They are everything that you could never be: loved, accepted, vibrant, accomplished, brave, and powerful. The truth about me is, when I heard the news, I didn't cry. I listened for them. I promised them I would, that I would fight for them, that I would show up no matter what it cost me. I swore I'd never let them feel alone, because you see, I've always been their heavyweight. I've always been the one to fight the battles they didn't feel ready to fight themselves. All it ever took was a call, and they know I would handle it for them, no matter the time, no matter the cost. They could wave their white flag because they knew I would never back down. Not for them, and not even death could change that. And as one final act of love, I'd planned to read these thoughts, even jarring and discombobulating, and not even making sense. That dream to read aloud my love to them, to bring meaning through pain, was the latest blow in realizing you don't deserve it, and Kaylee and Maddie don't need it. Kaylee and Maddie have always known my love, and they would never ask me to prove it by further victimizing myself to a defendant who has shown no guilt, no remorse, no apprehension. They would say to me, "Why would you give the satisfaction of showing vulnerability now? You promised that you would never back down." And for that clarity, I'm thankful. I won't stand here and give you what you want. I won't offer you tears. I won't offer you trembling. Disappointments like you thrive on pain, on fear, and on the illusion of power. And I won't feed your beast. Instead, I will call you what you are: sociopath, psychopath, murderer. So sit up straight when I talk to you. If you were really smart, do you think you'd be here right now? What's it like needing this much attention to feel real? You're terrified of being ordinary, aren't you? Do you feel anything at all, or are you exactly what you always feared? Nothing. If you're so powerful, then why are you still hiding? Let's try to take off your mask and see. You didn't create devastation, you revealed it, and it's in yourself. And that darkness you carry, that emptiness, you'll sit with it long after this is over. That is your sentence, and it was written on the wall long before you ever pled guilty. You didn't win, you just exposed yourself as the coward you are. You're a delusional, pathetic, hypochondriac loser who thought you were so much smarter than everybody else, constantly scolding, turning your nose up to grammar mistakes, nitpicking and criticizing others. You wanted so badly to be different, to be special, to be better, to be deep, to be mysterious. Lurking in the shadows made you feel powerful because no one ever paid you any attention in the light. You thought you were exceptional all because of a grade on a paper. You thought you were elite because your online IQ test from 2010 told you so. All of that effort seems important. It's desperate. There is a name for your condition, though your inflated ego just didn't allow you to see it. Wannabe. You act like no one can ever understand your mind, but the truth is you're basic. You're a textbook case of insecurity disguised as control. Your patterns are predictable. Your motives are shallow. You are not profound. You're pathetic. You aren't special or deep, not mysterious or exceptional. Don't ever get it twisted again. No one is scared of you today. No one is intimidated by you. No one is impressed by you. No one thinks that you are important. You orchestrated this like you thought you were God. Now look at you, begging a courtroom for scraps. You spent months preparing, and still all it took was my sister and a sheath. You worked so hard to seem dangerous, but real control doesn't have to prove itself. The truth is, the scariest part about you is how painfully average you turned out to be. The truth is, you're as dumb as they come: stupid, clumsy, slow, sloppy, weak, dirty. Let me be very clear. Don't ever try to convince yourself you mattered just because somebody finally said your name out loud. I see through you. You want the truth? Here's the one you'll hate the most. If you hadn't attacked them in their sleep in the middle of the night like a pedophile, Kaylee would have kicked your fucking ass. End quote.
It's so good.
Yeah. I was like, oh, that's like something I think that I would say, like that end part, especially like I would say that.
Yeah, I think like on the one hand, like good for her that she like really was like, I did not cry, I did not whatever. Not me, bitch. Like I get mad, I get crying. So like I'm so excited for her that she has that ability. But yeah, I mean, it was all of their impact statements. The common thread was just like, it was very like Ariana to Tom Sandoval, like, you don't matter.
Right, you are nothing. And I think that like Sammy and I have been talking about this a lot this week, and I think I've said before, there's something about like the way the morbid girls talk about murderers that I find a little bit cringy. And like there's something about like when people take things like really far to insult that's cringy to me, but like this just felt like so like raw, and like she like very intentionally hit every single point that he would not want her to hit. And like he sat there and he had no, I think they asked him for a comment afterwards and he said he didn't want to give one.
He said, I respectfully decline.
Yeah. And like he sat there, no emotion, but like and I think that would frustrate me to like know that like I'm hitting nerves and you're giving nothing. But like I think like good for her. Like she knew exactly what would take him down, like what would bring him down a notch, and she said it.
And it doesn't even matter like if he felt it in that moment, because like we viewers all watched that and were like, yeah, you're a loser. And it's like that's gonna not only affect him in prison, but it's like that's what people like him care about, is their like legacy.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah. And I've been watching a lot of old Rachel Riley videos on TikTok, and there's something in like the videos of her and Reagan where Reagan says, "You're back here for a limited time because your boyfriend opened a Pandora's box and released something horrible on the house." Like the change in her face when she realizes that's what a Pandora's box is, like, is like, shit, like you're right. And I think that there's something like that that's clicking now, that like everyone's saying your name, but like when people talk about you, like it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Like it's not like people are like, wow, like he was so calculated, and like when people talk about Brian Koberger, like they're talking about like truly like what an idiot he is.
And like he's so like how lame and creepy and like losery. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
like
also,
she's right.
Yeah, and I also think like for a case, like it seems silly to say this because like impact statements are like personal and like whatever, but like this is like a super publicized case and she had to know this was going to be out there, but like she chose to like, her and apparently her mother chose to completely forfeit any like political correctness, and I think like that is like something to me that like literally this is the sound of like someone's diary entry.
Right.
They're
it's
like
giving tortured poets department, no notes, like and
I hope you get big keys in prison. You are slow and stupid. Took that from Sabrina Carpenter. Like, you know, like I
did cut some of the more politically incorrect things that she said, but mostly because it's like, I didn't find them as scathing, to be honest.
Like this is your time to do that.
Yeah.
Like
and I
dude,
think
what's the point of being politically correct to someone who murdered your sister?
Right.
Who cares?
Yeah. I was telling Sammy, like, it's kind of like a nice refresher from the victim impact statements where they're like, I forgive you. Like, I'm like, no, don't forgive that man.
Yeah.
Bring him to his knees in this courtroom.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw like a time lapse of the whole time he was sitting there and he like nothing. Yeah.
It's annoying.
In a shocking turn of events, I have a real-time true crime that I'm mad about. So, Glorilla was arrested. And, I mean, she turned herself in, so, I mean, good for her. But she was arrested this week for drug possession charges. Reverse. I have to go back to Brian Koberger. I had thoughts.
Oh, okay.
Do you have thoughts on him taking a plea deal at all? Like, people obviously, like you said, it's like two sides of the same coin. Like, people are like, oh, good that they didn't have to go through a trial. Other people are like, what a fucking coward.
Yeah, and like, and even, sorry, my leg hurts. Sometimes, like, I don't know what it is, but sometimes I wake up and one of my hips, like, is in so much pain. And today was one of those days. So now I can't get comfortable in this chair. So one of the things that they mentioned on like Crime Junkie is that even like amongst the families, there's a lot of like disagreement. So like Ethan Chapin's family has said like they're very thankful for this because they do not want to relive what happened to their son in a courtroom. Right. And then on the other side, I think Kaylee Goncalves' family would have loved to see that man like be given a death sentence.
Yeah.
And not that I'm saying that they want people to die, but like they clearly have like a lot of resentment towards him, and I think that they would agree that this is like a coward's way out.
Yeah.
I am, I'm not into the death penalty.
Yeah.
And so like I think it like weighing those two things, like I would prefer for the families who don't want to relive it to not have to.
Yeah.
Than for him to be killed. Like if those are the two options.
Yeah.
But I absolutely think that like it was just his way of getting what he wanted. And I am very disappointed for especially Kaylee's family that a a a trial would have brought a lot more reasoning out, I think. And I think that's like, especially with like Kaylee's family, because that's who he seemed to be following to some degree, right?
I don't know.
Like, I think she was the one that he was following like online. And it was either her or Maddie that he had been liking a lot of their posts, and then when the other one posted a picture with the one he was following, he would like that post specifically. So he was like following one of those two, and I think that would also have been nice for them to get some clarity on like what his deal was with her. But I also think like it's good to not have to draw it out because it would take years.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what I was thinking.
And he would have been found guilty anyway.
Right. To me, like, if once you get, obviously, like, plea deals that, like, get you out of prison earlier for things, like, sure, coward, whatever. But, like, to me, if the only difference is, like, death or not death, like, I already don't believe in the death penalty. Right. And so it's like, if we can spare the families, then like I think frankly that's the right way to go. However, like the icky feeling is that like you don't want to feel like Brian chose the right thing, that he did the noble thing, that he's choosing not to make these families go through it. Like I think we have to separate,
he's like not
his motivation is cowardly.
Right.
Do I like the end result that that Idaho does not have to murder someone and then that these families don't have to live through it? Yeah. Like I agree with that.
Closed.
Sure.
They have their person.
But we do have to remember that like he did not do them, not that anyone's saying this, but like he did not do them a favor.
Right.
He obviously.
Has he like is his like pleading guilty the first time he's admitted he did it?
I don't know.
Or was he always saying he did it? I don't know either.
I don't know.
I had another that like kind of ties into the end of my case today, that like this, and like we talk about this a lot, like this level of like I want the justice I want for my loved one. I want it to play out the like it's like having an in your head fight with someone that doesn't play out correctly, it to the nth degree.
Right.
Like I want the justice I want to see happen the way I want to see it. And so like it's this toss up of, am I glad that this person is still getting what they deserve, but like mourning what I thought they should be getting?
Sure. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's true. Anyway,
also,
I just wanted...
Before we get into Glorilla, we can cut this, but if it's not interesting. Our theme this year for school, we have a theme every year for, like, our vibe of the school. And this year it's, like, neon, and it's, like, let's glow up. And so all week we've been saying, yeah, glow. And then this happened, and I was like...
I know. People were like, everyone in Memphis go to Checkers and get the Glorilla meal.
I know. Well, I didn't find out about the Glorilla meal until after this. And so I was like, did they know? Like, I thought they released the Checkers meal after all of this. I was like, did they know she got arrested? Or they don't want to cancel that? But
they said, we got to do the rollout.
Free my girl.
Yeah. So I have a real-time true crime this week because I'm mad. Glorilla got arrested for drug possession charges. The start of this story, you're going to say, what? How did she get arrested? Glorilla's house was burglarized or attempted burglarized. Police went to her house to respond to a burglary. 3 people had attempted to break in while she was away. It said someone else, so I assume like a neighbor, like shot off like warning shots.
House sitter.
Yeah, or something, yeah. Shot off warning shots to deter them. All 3 burglars ran away. They escaped. Cowards. When police were searching the home, they smelled marijuana and then found large amounts in her closet. Glorilla lives in like a suburb of Atlanta, and so she lives in Georgia, and this got her 2 felony charges.
My question is,
the police said we were responding to a crime, but we also we have to uphold the law.
Yeah.
So
if she wasn't correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like you can really only smell marijuana from a distance if it's burning. They're saying they went into the house and just were met with this scent of marijuana and found her stash of marijuana but no one was home and actively smoking.
Yeah.
That smells fishy to me.
Probably in the same way that a cigarette smoker's house smells.
Yeah, true.
Probably just smelled like weed.
Yeah.
And if it's really that large of an amount, I guess you would still smell it not burning, but I don't know. Yeah. Did she have a bank vault amount of weed? Right. I don't know.
Yeah, she wasn't home. Yeah. She was not even in the state. She was in Indianapolis performing at an
She's like, this wouldn't be a felony.
Right.
In Indiana.
She was performing at a WNBA game, and after she was arrested and left jail, she said, long story short, my house gets home invaded, and I'm the only one that gets arrested, so that's the tea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine if they had just arrested Dorit.
That'd be crazy.
So yeah, if you're a Checkers or Rallies eater, go support our girl, eat her meal. I don't know if it's actually supporting her at all, but
are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. I picked this case. It's kind of a sad reason, I guess.
Yeah.
Do you know the reason I picked it?
I don't know if it's the reason, but I certainly felt like what a weird time to do a camp case.
No, that's exactly why I picked it. Yeah. Well, I was trying to think. I was like, what am I gonna sit through and listen to right now? And I kept thinking about because wasn't it also a Girl Scout camp in Texas?
It was a girls' camp.
Okay, the girls' camp in Texas where the girls were lost, and then I started thinking about the Oklahoma Girl Scout camp murders, and that's related. So
great.
But I think the next one I'm gonna do is gonna be not fun. Nobody dies though.
Cool.
Because we just finished watching Chimp Crazy.
Yeah.
So
I told
good.
Billy we need to. I was like, this Missouri woman.
So good. It was better than Tiger King.
I never watched Tiger King, but yeah.
So I'm gonna do one of those cases next.
I'm so excited to watch that.
It's so good. All right, ready?
Yes.
At around 6 a.m. on June 13th, 1977, a counselor at the Camp Scott Girl Scout camp in Mays County, Oklahoma, was making her way to the camp's showers, which were on the opposite side of the grounds from the counselor's tent. It was early morning the first day of camp, and the showers were just in front of tent number 8, the seventh and final camper tent in the Kiowa unit of the camp. So that's a lot of words. But basically, some things that are confusing about this is that it is technically tent number 8.
Okay.
Is like what it's labeled, but tent number 1 is only for counselors. So a lot of people call it tent number 7 because if you started with the first camper tent as tent number 1, it would be the 7th camper tent.
Okay.
But the counselor tent is also numbered.
Okay.
As this counselor walked to the other end of the campgrounds, she saw a sleeping bag in a wooded area just outside of the tent area. This was odd, as the girls should have all been sleeping inside of their tents. Okay. She thought it was possible the buses had dropped off some additional luggage, but this would have been a strange place to leave it all. But it was like near the road also. So she's like, that kind of made sense. As she got closer, it was clear that there was a girl laying to the side of the sleeping bag, nude and partially on the road, but partially in the grass, and she was deceased. At first, the counselor thought it was possible that the girl had gotten scared during the storm because there was a storm that night. It was the first night of camp. Everyone was new and they had horrible weather. And so she was like, maybe she got scared and like ran to the trees and something happened to her. She alerted
that would be weird if in a storm she chose to run outside to the trees.
I agree. And naked. I don't know. Also the storm stopped at like 11. And which is like late for little girls. But the counselors said that like up until they went to sleep, especially because it was the first night of camp, they were hearing like a lot of like giggling and like talking. Like the girls were kind of staying up late. So I think it'd be weird like that they stayed up all that time and then one of them just took all her clothes off and ran into the woods because she was scared of the storm as it was ending.
It's giving.
That's obviously not what happened.
It's giving Parent Trap. Her friends made her get naked and run into the water.
Yeah, sure. You never know. She alerted the other counselors, and they searched all the tents and found that the three Girl Scout campers were missing from tent number 8. They were 8-year-old Lori Lee Farmer, 10-year-old Doris Denise Milner, who went by Denise, and 9-year-old Michelle Heather Goose from Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, in Tulsa.
Is this there's only 3 in the tent?
Yes.
Okay. So that's all of them.
Yeah, if you look at these tents, it's the 70s. And they showed there's a docuseries on this on Hulu hosted by Kristen Chenoweth. Reason it's hosted by Kristen Chenoweth is because Kristen Chenoweth was signed up for this camp in 1977 and ended up not being able to go because she got sick.
Wow.
Yeah. So she and also she went to school with some of these girls. Specifically, I know she went to school, I think, with Denise. And so she said like it was her first real like encounter with like someone she knew dying, and specifically like she said this was like the first time she had heard what murder was, and that it was like a little girl she was friends with at school. So she goes through it and hosts it and they show more pictures in this that I've seen on this case before. And basically, like, what the tents look like is it's a small little tent, and there are like 2 sets of bunk beds on either side, and that is all that fits in the tent. Like bed, and then the tent just goes right over those 2 bunk beds.
Sure.
So they can't fit more than 4 girls in each tent anyway.
Okay.
So next, they woke up the camp director and her husband, Richard. The director's husband was a nurse, and he was like immediately leapt into action, and he was able to find the other 2 girls. They were in the bottom of their own sleeping bags. Are you seeing the tents?
Yeah, those are horrifying.
Yeah, right. But yeah, so only 3 girls.
Blast.
They were in the bottom of their own sleeping bags, kind of balled up, really, like, they seemed really small.
Okay.
They were, because they were way at the bottom. The placement of the sleeping bags was about 150 yards away from tent number 8.
All of them, or that original one?
Yes.
Oh.
So, yeah, the original one was a little closer to the road. But then again, in the pictures, again, I've only ever seen these pictures in this docuseries. The pictures they show, the other sleeping bags are like in a pile. Like they're stacked, like they're all like thrown to the side together, kind of.
Okay.
Tent number 8 was the farthest from the counselor's tent, and was pretty obscured from view, as it was situated behind the showers and latrines, as well as the kitchen storage area. So they said, like, from the counselor's tent, they had a clear line of sight of every camper tent except for this one. Okay. They could not see it past those things. On top of the girls, there was a large red flashlight, nylon rope, duct tape, and a crowbar. And in their tent, there was blood, and in that blood, investigators found a 9.5 size shoe print. They also could tell that the killer had tried to wipe up the blood inside the tent with mattress covers, which he then stuffed into the sleeping bags with the girls. I actually want to take back what I said before. I think all of the sleeping bags were together. Oh. I think that what happened was that counselor, because the first girl, which I believe was Denise, maybe not. The first girl they found, no, it was Denise, was not in a sleeping bag. Right. She was on the sleeping bag. And so I think that counselor saw Denise.
She thought she saw only one sleeping bag.
Right.
But
well, I think she might have seen, it's possible she saw all of them. I think that she saw a dead child and ran. Sure. She also said, like, she wasn't, because it was off by the road, she said that she wasn't totally sure it was one of theirs. Sure. And so she ran to the director and the counselors to count the girls. She said they went in every tent and they counted the girls to make sure if it was one of theirs. And then when they realized that the 3 were missing, that's when Richard went and looked, and he looked in the sleeping bags. She didn't, like, go over there. And so they were all together, the sleeping bags. But reason
one girl was outside and the other girls were inside.
The reason the other 2 were found a little bit later is because the person who originally saw Denise didn't look in the sleeping bags before she went to get help.
Sure.
Leading up to going to the camp, the 3 girls were experiencing a mix of different emotions. My girls were feeling all sorts of things. Lori, the youngest of the trio, was a week away from her 9th birthday, and she was ready for a summer adventure. She had begged her mom for weeks to go to a sleepaway camp. Her mom was hesitant because Lori was only 8. She was the oldest of her sisters, I think. I don't know. They had a lot of kids. So I don't know if she was the oldest of all of them, but she was the oldest of her sisters. But she was a baby. Her mom knew, though, that Lori could hold her own with the big girls. Lori told her mom that the 2 camps she was interested in going to were Camp Scott's Girl Scout camp or a YMCA camp, but that she did not have a preference for one over the other. Lori's mom is the one who made the decision to go with Camp Scott over the YMCA camp. And Lori was tickled pink.
Yeah. Whatever.
She said, yes. Denise, on the other hand, was the type of kid who was very attached to her mom and would get homesick even after a few hours at a sleepover and would call her mom to pick her up. Because of this, her mom was surprised when Denise started begging in the spring to go to Girl Scout camp. She told her mom that all of her friends were going to sleepaway camp over the summer and she would be the only girl not going to one. Her mom felt certain that she would change her mind, so she kept saying no. But as summer came, Denise continued to ask to please, please, please go to Camp Scott. Her mom finally agreed and thought, like, you know what, maybe she's growing up. She's growing out of this shyness. She's branching out. That's going to be great for her. But just as she suspected, the night before camp, Denise announced that she did not want to go. She told her mom that she was scared. She said, I'm not going to know anyone. And her mom basically said, sister, you fought tooth and nail to get signed up for this camp. You're going to this damn camp. So even through the next day, though, Denise was dropped off at the bus. She continued to ask to stay home. At the bus, Denise's mom finally compromised with her, and she said, I want you to just try it for one night and see how you feel. If you wake up in the morning and you still want to leave, you can call me and I will come get you. The assistant director of the camp was there as Denise was getting on the bus and was overhearing this, and she assured Denise's mom that she would look out for Denise. She said, I've got her back, don't worry about her, but that if Denise came to her in the morning and said, I still want to go home, she would help her call mom and arrange to be picked up. Because here's the thing, I read that and I said, when I went to sleepaway camp, that was not an option. Unless I was dying, I wasn't allowed to call home to go home. But they had worked it out beforehand.
That's good. Nice. Yeah.
It's also it's very reassuring.
Yeah. No sleepaway camp for me, girlies. No. Hell no.
On the way back home, Denise's little sister, Kathy, who is 5, started asking their mom some weird questions that she had not asked her before. She said, Mom, what happens when people die? And the mom was like, what the fuck? She said, Kathy had never talked about death before. She wasn't totally sure where to go with this. She's only 5. So she told her that eventually, people die. But then, and her mom was a nurse also. She's like, but more people are born and the world continues to be populated. New people make new life and it just keeps going around and around. And that's how it works. Kathy said, well, what happens if everyone dies? And their mom said, well, I don't think
doesn't happen.
That's going to happen. She said, everyone's not going to die at once. Babies are born every day. The world keeps going, just like I said 5 seconds ago. And Kathy said, tomorrow everyone's going to die.
What the fuck? Kathy.
When the girls first got to camp, there was a 4th camper in their tent named Angela. The way a Girl Scout camp typically works, from my understanding and information provided to me by Bob's Burgers, most girls attend with their Girl Scout troop. Okay? But there are sometimes tents where there is a mix of girls who don't belong to a troop, or their troop isn't there, or their troop has more girls than can fit in a tent. So that's what happened with 10-8. As far as I can tell, those 3 girls did not belong to a troop that was at the camp, so that's why they were together. I think they all went to different schools. I don't think they knew each other even. Angela, this fourth girl, did belong to a troop at the camp, but their tent had overflowed. There was no room for her, so she was staying in tent number 8. She spent some time with Lori, Michelle, and Denise. She said they had a lot of fun. They got to know each other really quickly. But then one of the counselors came and told Angela that they were able to make room for her with her troop and that she could go back and sleep in their tent if she wanted. And she said that she would like to do that. So she went back to her troop's tent, leaving just the 3 girls.
See, Kathy, Angela's not gonna die.
Yeah.
Kristen Chenoweth, not gonna die.
I know. Could you imagine if Kristen Chenoweth was famous for an entirely different reason?
No, that would be so sad.
I know. Counselors told the...
But what if Denise, Lori, or Michelle were destined to be a Kristen Chenoweth?
Yeah. What if they were our Galinda?
Yeah. Oh no.
I know, this is getting dark. Okay, now we're going back to all the counselors have now found all of the girls. They told the other girls in the camp that something was wrong with the camp's water and that everyone would need to leave early. And the camp was evacuated and everyone was bused back to Tulsa. They also, though, these girls are on the road. And they don't want to move them because it's a crime scene. So the counselors explained that they kind of like told the other girls that they were in trouble for staying up so late and that their like consequence was they had to take a big long hike. And so they were like, we have to get out of camp because the water's bad, but we're going to hike over this way and the bus is going to pick us up over there.
Whoa. Like they made a whole lore.
I know. That's Sammy crazy. Was like, I was like, totally respect it, honestly. Like,
sure.
The creativity of like how to get them around this without scaring them. But why'd you have to make them think they were in trouble?
You could have just said like, our plan for today was a hike.
Right.
But also we went hiking.
We went hiking all the time at sleepaway camp.
Stupid.
That's why I hated it. So the owners of the camp called their lawyers and their insurance representatives and then began making calls to the families of the victims to tell them at first that there had been a horrible accident involving their daughters. Lori's parents said that when they called them, they said, like, we need to tell you about something that happened at camp with Lori. And then they just said, we found her behind her tent this morning dead.
Okay. Because the water's bad.
Right. By the time the camp directors had called Michelle's parents, they had already seen on the news that 3 girls were murdered at the camp. So when that phone rang, they already knew that Michelle.
But how, if they're telling the parents it's an accident still by this point?
So here's the thing. What Lori's parents said, what I just said, is what they were told. On Crime Junkie, she said that some of the parents told them that the call they received said there's been a terrible accident. I don't know if that's a differentiation between what parents were told whose children were not involved.
Sure.
Like if that's the parents they're talking about, or if they lied to Michelle and Denise's parents originally, but it had already been on the news, and like I saw that news broadcast. I have no idea. But
I mean, I guess counselors are probably on the buses with those other girls.
Yes.
Tweeting. 1977 version of tweeting.
Of course. Like they were like 3 girls killed today.
Yeah.
The girls.
So they did recognize that they were murders.
Yes, for sure.
Okay. I mean, it seems obvious, but I just wanted to make sure there wasn't like any confusion that like somehow these girls had like crawled into their sleeping bags and like frozen or like something.
So
Summer,
we're gonna get into
frozen.
more. Yeah, we're gonna get into more details of like what they found. But one of the things I mentioned earlier was like there was a large amount of blood in and around the tent,
and
then those
the wiped up blood.
Yeah, those mattress covers had been shoved into the tent, into the sleeping bags with them. Hold on.
Get that Intergy.
When the buses of campers made it to Tulsa, girls were called off of the bus one at a time and escorted directly into their parents' care. While the young girls were unaware of what had happened, the parents had been told there was a terrible accident.
The girls are like, again, Mom, the water's bad. And they made us hike. And the mom's like, none of it heard.
And it's already been on the news.
Mm-hmm.
The camp didn't give them many details, but the news was pretty clear in its reporting. When Angela's name was called, she got to the front of the bus and then she realized she had dropped something. She said, my stuff. So she ran back down the aisle of the bus to find it. She's searching. It's probably a matter of like 30 seconds. But she gets off the bus and her mom is on her knees weeping. So
they said, Angela, and her mom said, no!
Yeah. The energy shift of like them being released back to their parents, the girls are now pretty aware something bad, something deeper than bad water is happening. And a lot of the campers, counselors, and parents have like said that they've suffered PTSD afterwards based on like what happened and like how it was handled.
Yeah.
Police began their investigation at the camp, bringing in what they called magic scent tracking dogs.
Magic.
And quickly conducted interviews, and they got a lot of information from these interviews. One thing they learned was that about 2 months prior, when the camp's counselors completed their on-site training, someone had infiltrated the camp and left a threatening message behind. So one of the counselors' campsites had been ransacked and all of her donuts had been eaten.
Rude. It's a cop.
Inside the empty donut box was a note which read, quote, "We are on a mission to kill 3 girls in tent 1." End quote.
That was 2 months before?
Mm-hmm. The director of the camp, upon reading the note, decided it was a prank and chose to ignore it and move on.
I have so many questions from the note.
It also had ramblings about like Martians and aliens, so they chalked it up to just like being kind of nonsensical. But nobody knew about it.
Yeah. But they're tents of 4 people.
Mm-hmm.
So how would this person months prior have planned that they would only want to kill 3? Is interesting to me. You don't have to answer my questions. Yeah. Just sit with them. And did they know that tent 1 is a counselor tent? Or like, did they think, well, this is the first one way over here, so this is tent 1? Yeah, but they didn't put it in tent 8. They put it in tent 1, right? Or no? Yes. You're saying the counselors was
during training.
So do we know what tent that was in?
No. So yes,
you've got me.
The theory is that whoever left this note thought that the tent closest to where they entered the camp was tent number 1, which was tent number 8 because it was closest to the woods.
And the road.
Yeah. We'll come back to the 3 thing.
Okay.
Also, there was no like surveillance or cameras, so they weren't going to be able to find who wrote the note they felt anyway, so they just kind of ignored it. Police were also able to interview a landowner near the camp who claimed they had heard quite a bit of traffic near the camp that morning between 2:30 a.m. and 3 a.m. And this was not the only strange witness account from that evening. A lot of people at the camp had weird experiences that night. So, a group of girls from Angela's troop claimed that they were headed to the restrooms together that night shortly before it started to rain, and they saw 3 flashlight beams walking around the area. The girls screamed because they weren't expecting it, and the flashlights turned off.
Okay.
And they couldn't see them anymore. Once the weather got bad, all the girls were sent back to their tents and told that they should try writing some letters home to pass the time. Denise wrote a letter to her mom that she still wanted to be picked up and she didn't think she could stick it out for the next 2 weeks. Her mom read the letter in that docuseries and it started with, "Mom, camp is awful. I don't like it." And then she signed it, "Your loving child, Denise."
Sad.
She said, "Please, mother, come get me." One counselor said she saw a dim light in the tree line along the camp and she flashed her flashlight at it. And when she did, the light disappeared. So the counselor turned her flashlight off and waited. And then the dim light came back on and started moving toward the tents. A counselor in the tent area where the girls were, the Kiowa area, claimed to hear a loud noise followed by something sounding like growling or groaning. She said it sounded almost supernatural. It was like a low guttural sound that sounded like a creature in pain. So she tried to wake up the counselor next to her and asked if she heard the sound, but she was too tired to understand the question or respond. She was just kind of like, what? So the counselor who had heard the noise went outside of the tent, and as soon as she turned her flashlight on, the noises stopped.
Okay. This is a lot of weird shit.
I know. She walked around through each of the tents, but thought everything seemed okay and went back to sleep. The campers in tent number 6 claimed that they saw a flashlight coming toward their tent, but at the last minute, it pivoted and moved toward tent number 8. They all assumed it was a counselor, but they couldn't be sure because no one had entered the tent. They just kind of thought maybe they were doing bed checks, but the counselors all agreed it wasn't them. Police believed that the killer must have entered through the back of the tent and struck each of the girls. They determined that Michelle and Lori were likely killed inside the tent, but Denise was bound with tape and rope and seemed to have been dragged or carried through the woods and killed there. All 3 girls had been gagged, and their sleeping bags were all dry, leading police to believe that the bodies had been brought to the woods sometime between 11 p.m. when the rain stopped and 6 a.m. when the girls were found. They could also determine that Denise had been killed last because Michelle and Lori were already cold and in rigor, but Denise was still warm. There were signs on all 3 girls of strangulation, mutilation, and excessive beating. Police could tell right away that Michelle and Denise had been sexually assaulted as semen was found on their bodies. Police believed Lori had also been sexually assaulted because her underwear had been pulled to the side in a strange way that wouldn't have been a natural or comfortable way for her to put them on. But that's the only there was no semen found near Lori. They were able to determine that the perpetrator must have gone into the other tents at some point leading up to the murders, as many girls and counselors were missing their glasses. They didn't appear to have been taken with him, though, because over the next couple of weeks, they would be finding glasses in strange places, almost hidden around the campgrounds.
Like an Easter egg hunt?
Yeah.
Of glasses?
Yeah.
Wait, so they think they went, but he couldn't have gone in while the girls were in there awake that night, right? So they think it was
no,
throughout the day?
No, I think they're thinking when they were sleeping.
But I thought they were mostly awake. Well, I guess between 11 and 6. I
right.
guess.
Okay. And yeah. And a lot of the like reports of like strange activity is like kind of like around 3 a.m. I also don't think he went into every tent and did that, because one of the counselors says when she woke up she put her glasses on. So one theory was that he was looking for a prescription that would fit his eyes.
Oh,
like a Goldilocks situation.
Did the glasses have night vision?
He just couldn't see. Because
it's dark.
On the Crime Junkie podcast, Britt mentioned that she actually thought this could have been a tactic to delay counselors if they were awoken during the attacks, thinking like they may spend extra time looking for their glasses, or they may struggle to find their way without them, and they wouldn't be able to get to the girls as quickly. There's no telling.
Sure.
I think it's something
interesting
different.
Theory.
Yeah. Police were able to trace the nylon rope and other objects found at the scene to a nearby farmhouse. When they got there, the farmer told them that he had been robbed and many things had been stolen, including his rope.
Rude.
Newspapers quickly picked up the news of this man's interview and printed an article about how his belongings were found at the scene and he had been required to take a lie detector test. They even printed his picture with the caption "Slayer."
Oh no.
Yeah.
He's Glorilla. He's like, I was burglarized.
Yeah.
What the
Police were like very clear that this man had passed his lie detector test and was cleared as a potential suspect, but that did not matter. His name and his picture were out there associated with the murders of 3 young girls, and he was ridiculed so badly that he ended up being hospitalized.
Sad.
You know. When the medical examiner began his autopsy on the 3 girls, he noted that they were beaten with excessive force. But interestingly, Lori's face had not been damaged. He said that when he looked at her face, like apart from her body, it looked like she was sleeping. And then he did find evidence that all 3 girls had been raped before they were killed. Police were becoming desperate to find their killer, and they were beginning to welcome a few alternative investigation procedures. You want to take a guess at what they might be?
I mean, I think the obvious guess is like psychics.
Of course, right. We all know psychics. That's not what they did, no. This is a first for me. The police force had begun to do research on Native American ceremonies and were completing Native American rituals to try to help guide them in their investigation.
They said it is in the woods.
Right. I think this could have been because of who police had zeroed in on as a suspect. In a recent command staff meeting, police brought up a potential concern with someone who they suspected had been at large in the area since he had escaped from the Mays County Jail 4 years earlier in 1973. Gene Leroy Hart had been a local football star before he was convicted on 4 counts of first-degree burglary and 2 counts of the kidnapping and rapes of 2 pregnant women, and had been sentenced to 308 years in prison.
Wow.
Yeah. So he got
said,
sentenced.
Nope, I'm leaving.
Well, he escaped. He got caught. He got brought back. They put him in the jailhouse. He escaped there. And now he's been on the run for 4 years.
Great.
Hart was a member of the Cherokee Nation and had been raised just about a mile from Camp Scott. And police knew when he escaped that for those 4 years, they knew he was in the area. And apparently that was very frustrating for them.
Like they genuinely could not find him, but they knew he would be near. Yes, they could not find him.
Yes.
I don't know. Makes the note you found a little more concerning.
Right.
That there is a at-large criminal who you know is in the vicinity, and you got a note about murder.
A convicted kidnapper and rapist. Also, like, all 3 girls' parents have said if they had mentioned the note, they wouldn't have sent their girls there.
Right.
Which, like, of course, like, in hindsight, like, you might also have read the note and be like, that's crazy person. But, like, they also said in Crime Junkie, even if you didn't think someone was going to come kill the girls, it's concerning that a crazy person was able to get into your camp unnoticed and leave that note.
Yeah. And eat your donut.
But, right. Police were so frustrated by the fact that they couldn't find this man that they started to genuinely believe, because he was Native American, that he was a shapeshifter.
Oh.
And that he had shapeshifted into a bird, and that's how he was eluding capture.
Okay.
I'm not saying he wasn't.
Couldn't be our skill set.
Right.
Has to be supernatural.
Right. I'm not saying he wasn't a shapeshifter. I'm just telling you what they thought. So, some interesting things about his previous victims. One of the women he had attacked had mentioned that while he was raping her, he had made these really strange sounds. She described them as hard to understand or compare to other sounds, and police began to wonder if this could have been the deep guttural sound that counselor had heard that night. If I were that counselor and I heard that sentence out loud, I would never sleep again.
Mm-hmm.
Ever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like horrifying.
Yeah. The other woman had reported that he had taken her glasses from her during the rape and tried them on and like was like wearing them. After the attacks,
what a weird thing.
It is.
To be your thing.
And you know what? Honestly, the glasses are my smoking gun.
Also, though, like, do children's glasses fit his face? Like, what?
That was a big question too. Was like this, like, and that's what I think kind of convinced the Crime Junkie girls that he wasn't Goldilocksing the glasses.
Right.
Was like he should know that little girls' glasses aren't going to fit his head.
Yeah.
And like they said, it's Britt was kind of like, it seems a little bit more mischievous and like a tactic. Ashley said she thought it was a fetish. I agree with that because it is a very recurring thing.
But what do you, and you don't have to answer this either. All of my questions are rhetorical if you want them to be. What is the theory about hiding them like an Easter egg hunt, though?
That I don't know. Because he didn't hide all of them. We'll find.
Okay.
And so maybe he just kind of scooped them all up and then
52 car pickup around,
right? You know, I don't know. He turned into a bird and he couldn't carry them all.
Yeah, they just started flying.
Where was I? Okay. After the attacks, Hart had placed rags in each of their mouths and wrapped their entire head in duct tape.
Holy frick!
I know.
And they survived? Wowza.
He then left the two women in the woods covered in brush and leaves, thinking they were dead.
These happened together?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
One of the women managed to get the tape off of her face and ran to get help. And then they testified against him in court.
Mm-hmm. I think there's something interesting about someone who, like, wants to handle multiple people at once. Like, there's, like, this probably, like, power thing about, like, yeah, I overpowered, like, multiple people.
I think, and this is what I was going to say about the threes. I think going on other things the police have said, they, like, this very much became about him being indigenous. And,
it's me.
And I think that there's, like, I think that there's speculation about, like, ceremonies and rituals and, like, the number 3 means something, the number 2 means something, or, like, that there's just, like, all these ideas around why he did things a certain way. And I think that their easiest answer is to always chalk it back up to his culture.
Oh, we just don't understand Native culture.
Right.
Yeah, but
it's
I guess
to admit you don't understand murderers.
Yeah, but I think my confusion is like if Angela had been in there,
right?
If there had been 4 girls, was he gonna leave one of them? Like,
I don't know.
What was the mission? Literally, like it has to be 3, it has to be perfect, like, or because it seems like he was gonna go for that tent, and he had to have known because of his whatever that there were 4 beds. So like saying like my mission is to kill 3 girls in this tent seems weird.
Yeah, I also wonder, like, with him possibly going to tent 6 first, and then moving to tent 7 or tent 8, maybe he was like scoping to see which one had 3. I don't know.
Yeah, true.
Soon after naming Gene Hart as their new top suspect, a cave was discovered overlooking the camp that appeared to have been a makeshift shelter for someone. Inside, police found 4 small, like, burn patches in like a semicircle.
Okay. Fire.
You already know what they think that is. They found tape, women's underwear, women's glasses, plastic material, and the crumpled picture of an unknown woman. The newspaper, the glasses, and the underwear were of the most significance to police at the time. Both the underwear and the glasses were found to belong to one of the camp's counselors. Do you remember what I said was found at the scene, like left behind with the girls? All those things that have been stolen from the farm. Do you remember what they were?
Rope. And no, that's it.
Okay. So one of the things was a large flashlight.
Okay. Yes.
Red. And yes, inside that flashlight, there had been like a balled up piece of newspaper used to keep the batteries in place. And that scrap of newspaper had come from the same newspaper they found in the cave. So these 3 things made the police fairly certain that the murderer had been living in this cave for some amount of time.
Probably 4 years.
Right.
Wait,
4 years, 1 fire for each year?
Yeah. This is my bird's nest.
Right.
That's it.
To identify who was living in the cave, they placed ads in a few local newspapers with that photo they had found of that woman, asking if anyone knew about the photo or the woman who may be able to answer who could have had the photo. They know, like, do you know who took this? Do you know who this is? And it worked. They got a call from a local wedding photographer who told police that he had been a part of a work release program through the local prison, in which
the photographer. Okay.
Well, like, not he wasn't the work release. He got like an apprentice.
Okay.
Via work release program.
Okay.
So a convicted felon had worked with him and helped him like develop his photos.
Sure.
From weddings.
Progressive.
Right. So he identified his apprentice as Gene Leroy Hart, because of course it was. The sheriff in the area then claimed he was 1,000% certain Hart was guilty, and the manhunt began. All these 4 years, they haven't been able to find this damn man. Immediately, they found him.
And suddenly, he's like, my bird powers are gone.
Hart was found in a cabin in the woods near the camp. When he was arrested, he was wearing women's glasses.
Did they connect him to anyone at the camp, or just...
I haven't heard that. I just have heard he had on a women's pair of glasses.
Okay, it's kind of not the prescription part, but it's kind of giving Goldilocksing to me in like a more awful way, that he was like, what if these little girls' glasses could fit my head?
I got a little head, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, but maybe he's just like, let's just see. Maybe some of these girls are older than the others or have bigger heads.
Also, like, this is...
he likes women's glasses. Yeah. So why wouldn't he like girls?
Feel free to ignore this, but also when he was arrested, in the pictures I've seen, he was wearing a very small tank top and very small shorts, so maybe he just liked everything to be little on him.
Yeah, or like he wants to be wearing women's clothes.
Right. When police went back for a second search of the cabin, they found a corncob pipe and
2-button.
no, not a button nose. And a
button
mirror.
nose. Okay.
That also came from the camp. When Hart was arrested, the arresting officer pressed him, saying, "You did it, didn't you?" And Hart said, "You'll never pin it on me." I don't know.
Yeah, certainly not. Are
Um,
these like cat eye glasses? I'm so sorry.
Okay, so
I'm like,
there's two sets of pictures of him. One I think is from the arrest, and one I think is from court. And in both of them, he is wearing some type of women's glasses.
yeah.
One does look like a cat eye. The other ones are not.
Okay.
Well, like, okay.
You can keep going. I'm just so.
You got these glasses?
Yeah.
But then I think this is the arrest picture. And like you can tell those glasses are a lot smaller. So even though police were sure they had found their guy, the public was not so sure of Hart's guilt. They worried that he had been targeted for his race and cultural background, being a member of the Cherokee Nation, and that he was a victim of a biased investigation. Even worse, they thought he may have been framed for the crimes. The corncob pipe and mirror, for example, were only found on the second search of the cabin. Hart's friend, the owner of the cabin, had been allowing him to stay there for 4 years while he was in hiding.
Awesome.
And claimed that probably not for 4 years because he was living in a cave.
Yeah, true. On and off.
After he killed some little girls, he said, "You can come live with me." He claimed that he had never seen the pipe or mirror before police discovered them. Some people wondered if they had planted the evidence after taking it from the camp.
Wait. So what is the? Okay, those were connected with the camp.
Yeah. So
why was there a corncob pipe at camp?
I don't know. Were they teaching them how to make corncob pipes?
Great.
I don't know. Hart went to trial.
Pipe and a button nose. Wait, Missouri has a corncob pipe museum. Wowza.
You could go. Hart went to trial in March of 1979, represented by a local Oklahoma attorney named Garvin A. Isaacs. Isaacs argued that Hart was innocent and that once police decided he was the suspect they wanted, they would do anything to make sure he was the suspect that was arrested. He argued that Hart could not possibly have been a match to the semen found at the scene because Hart had already had a vasectomy and could not ejaculate.
That's not how that works. That's literally not how that works.
It's also not true.
But I need everyone to understand the science that is not how that works. You do still ejaculate after a vasectomy, friends. There's just no sperm in it. That's crazy. Did they not know that in 1979?
The police had also found a hair at the scene that they said matched Hart's hair under a microscope, but Isaacs and everyone else in the world called that junk science and said it could not be conclusively linked to his client. We'll give him that.
They said under the microscope it looks like hair.
Yeah. He also pointed out that the men's shoe print found inside the tent was a 9.5, but Gene wore an 11.5.
Yeah, don't try to give our man small feet. That's what he said. Don't be mean.
He also said that
he likes to wear things that do not fit him and that fit women.
And do you know what a women's 9.5 is?
It's a men's 11.5. Mm-hmm. So, but surely when they were measuring the shoe size, they were not measuring.
like, I was thinking, like, I'm sure they measured it and not, but, like, what if it's just based on, like, the shoe print has a 9.5 on it, you know?
Oh, right.
I don't know. I could be wrong. But
whoa. I like the theory.
police had also mentioned a fingerprint that had been found on the flashlight that Isaacs believed did not match Hart. Finally, Isaacs brought in a jailer from the sheriff's office. He testified that he had actually seen that photo found in the cave before in the sheriff's desk after Hart had escaped, but before the cave was searched.
Of course.
He believed someone in the sheriff's department had taken the photo after Hart had escaped, held onto it, and then planted it in the cave as evidence he had killed the girls at Camp Scott.
Okay.
That's crazy. But the jury acquitted him.
Oh, well.
Right. However, he was sent back to prison in the Oklahoma State Penitentiary to complete his original 308-year sentence, of which he had only served 3 years, so he still had 305 left.
The first time in history that a jury said, "Do not be racist.
Right.
We're gonna acquit this guy."
And it didn't even matter because he was going to prison either way.
Mm.
On June 4th, 1979, Gene Leroy Hart had a heart attack and died at the age of 35.
God
He had,
damn.
I know.
He said, I am actually, I mean, obviously he wasn't going to get close, but like, I'm going to get as far from 308 years as I possibly can.
Right.
I'm just going to.
I mean, that means he was. He was like 29 when he raped those pregnant women. That's crazy. Yeah. He had been lifting weights and jogging in the prison exercise yard just an hour before, and he suddenly collapsed. During his autopsy, the ME was able to determine that Hart's vasectomy never took.
Great. Still wouldn't have mattered.
Right.
He can still produce semen, but okay.
In 1989, DNA testing was done with the semen sample found at the scene. 3 of the 5 probes found in the sample matched Hart's DNA. However, it also would have applied to 1 in 7,700 Native Americans, meaning it couldn't narrow the pool of suspects down enough to confirm Hart as the perpetrator, and was therefore inconclusive. In 2008, investigators tried again to test the DNA, but found that the samples had become too deteriorated over time to obtain a meaningful profile. In 2017, $30,000 in donations were raised by the local sheriff to go toward new DNA testing. He believed that with the latest advances in DNA technology, they had a better chance of utilizing the sample. The results came back in 2019 and in 2022. After receiving permission from the victims' families to go public, they released a statement about those results. The Mays County Sheriff Mike Reed said in his press conference, quote, "Unless something new comes up, something brought to light that we are not aware of, I am convinced where I'm sitting of Hart's guilt and involvement in this case," end quote. Does not really tell me much about the DNA.
Just you still believe
right
this.
While the new testing apparently, they say, strongly suggests Hart, the case remains officially unsolved. In 1985, 2 of the victims' families sued the Magic Empire Council, which is the organization over scouting in Oklahoma, and its insurer for $5 million, which is equivalent to $14.6 million today.
Wowza.
For negligence. They claimed that the parents of the campers should have been made aware of the note left to the counselors, and that the girls' tent was dangerously far away from the counselors' tent at 86 yards. 86 yards away.
Yeah, like why was that not the counselor's tent?
Because then they wouldn't be able to see anybody.
Sure. Or we should have a counselor in every tent. One.
Right. The jurors decided in favor of the Magic Empire Council.
Wow.
Is it the same fucking jurors that let him go?
Yeah, what the heck?
Richard Goose, Michelle's father, helped the state legislature pass the Oklahoma Victims Bill of Rights and helped found the Oklahoma Crime Victims Compensation Board. Lori's mother, Sherry Farmer, founded the Oklahoma chapter of the support group of parents of murdered children. In 2021, a landmark case went to the United States Supreme Court. McGirt versus Oklahoma held that the domain reserved for the Muscogee Nation by Congress in the 19th century had never been disestablished and therefore constitutes Indian country for the purposes of the Major Crimes Act.
Okay.
Basically, in this case, what that means is that where, in this case, a native Cherokee man was accused and tried for a murder that occurred on Cherokee lands in Oklahoma, it should have fallen under tribal sovereignty instead of state sovereignty. And so they're saying, like, basically that his whole, like, judicial process was done incorrectly. So because of this, new details about the killings are now being investigated by the Cherokee Nation instead of the state of Oklahoma.
I don't know. I just feel like there's a weird crossover when, like, people who are not indigenous are, like, using this land for, like, a Girl Scout, like a public camp. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Also, the camp has been demolished, just to add that in.
Those creepy
Didn't feel like
tents.
I needed to say it, but
creepy ass tents.
Yeah.
Wow, you had me locked in.
Good.
That was crazy.
Thanks.
He did it.
Yeah. That was gonna be my question. I like I said, the glasses are my loaded gun. Like,
loaded.
What's a smoking gun? The glasses are my smoking gun. Yeah, like, it's crazy to me, like, the way they talked about, like, how deeply people believed this man was innocent. Like, Crime Junkie called him, like, the original Stephen Avery. In the docuseries, Denise's mom talked about, she said that there was one day that she was at work in the hospital. She's a phlebotomist, and she said that she had, like, gotten onto the ground to take this person's blood. Like, she was going all in on them, and they looked at her and said, I don't think Hart killed your daughter. She said, I could not believe.
She said, my ears. And then I blew their vein.
Yeah. She was like, I'm just trying to do my job. She's the sweetest little lady. But yeah, like, people, like, very deeply believed he was innocent. And I'm not saying that, like, the police didn't have a lot of racial motivation.
Sure.
But also, he did, like, violently rape 2 women with a lot of the same like, details.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's certainly not, like, crazy to think. Also, there's an added layer of, they were talking about in the docuseries, that locally he was very well known because he had been a football star. Like, he was, like, the hometown hero football star, and, like, he had gotten a full ride scholarship to play football in college, and he chose not to go to college, and so, like, everyone knew who he was because that was, like, a really big deal. And so I think there was, like, that added layer of, like, a lot of the people they interviewed who said they didn't think he did it were people who had, like, played football with him or had known him in high school.
Yeah.
And were like, no, like, that's not who he is.
He's a good guy.
But
he's obviously, like, not, though.
Right. He, like, clearly
like,
did
y'all.
And
well,
I think
he doesn't really matter. Like, he clearly did the other ones.
Right.
So, like, y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you got to give up your.
But I 100% believe that he did it.
1000%.
Yeah. I'm with the sheriff.
Yeah.
For once.
Wow.
New shirt, new alternative shirt. You pick your side.
I'm with the
There's
sheriff.
A YouTuber I follow who did that through shirts. Like, she counted how many people bought like 2 opposite view shirts and like tallied up the winner. So, are you team we don't trust the police in this case, or I'm with the sheriff?
In
When
this
you
case,
like a little arrow, I'm with sheriff.
Yeah, true.
Okay.
All right.
That's all.
Bye.
Bye.